one of the biggest economic stories happening anywhere on the planet, India's absolutely massive infrastructure transformation. We're talking about a nationwide effort to build, to connect, and to modernize on a scale that is, frankly, staggering. Let's get right into it.
All right, let's just start with a number. A really, really big number. This is what the Indian government has budgeted for infrastructure in just a single year. That's well over $100 billion US. But you know, a figure this huge is actually only part of the story.
So why does that giant number matter so much? Well, it all comes down to a powerful economic idea called the multiplier effect. And it's pretty simple, really. For every single rupee the government spends on things like roads and ports, the country's GDP actually gets a boost of 2.5 to 3.5 rupees. So this isn't just spending money. It's a direct investment in the engine that will power future growth.
And that really sets the stage for our first section, India's infrastructure supercycle. We're going to look at how this massive public investment sits at the very heart of the nation's strategy to become a developed economy.
And look, this isn't just a one-time thing. It's not a flash in the pan. What you're seeing here is a sustained, deliberate climb. From just 2022 to the 2026 budget, government spending on capital projects has jumped by an incredible 89%. That shows a really consistent, long-term commitment to building the future.
But here's the thing. This strategy isn't just about writing a huge check. It's about a much smarter dual approach, a plan for building smarter, not just bigger.
So what's the secret sauce here? Well, it really boils down to two core pillars. On one side, you have the money, which is a mix of that huge public spending we saw, plus a major strategic push to get private companies to invest. And on the other side, you have the master plan, a fundamental shift away from just building more stuff to building with integrated system-level planning.
Getting that private money is absolutely key, and India has built a pretty clever system to do it. Think of it in 3 steps. First, an appraisal committee vets projects to make sure they're actually viable. Then, a special fund can step in to bridge any financial gaps for projects that are super important for the economy but might not be profitable right away. And finally, another fund helps get projects ready for investment, creating a steady, bankable pipeline that investors can tap into.
And that brings us to the master plan, called PM Gati Shakti. And honestly, this quote just nails it. It really is like Google Maps for building a country. You know, for decades, you had the road department doing its thing over here and the railway department doing its thing over there, and they barely talked. This led to endless delays. Gati Shakti changes all of that. It's one single digital platform that layers all infrastructure together to make sure everything fits, which dramatically speeds up execution.
So, we've seen the money and the plan, but what does all of this actually look like in the real world? Well, that brings us to Section 3, a nation on the move, where we're going to track the tangible progress on the ground.
Let's start with the railways. On the left, you see capital spending just soaring, and on the right, the direct result. The pace at which new railway lines are actually built and opened has more than doubled since 2014. It's a straight line. More investment equals more tracks.
And the story on India's roadways is just as dramatic. I mean, look at these numbers. Capital spending is up nearly 6-fold. The amount of operational high-speed corridors, that's jumped almost 10-fold. And just like the railways, the average pace of construction has more than doubled. And it's not just happening on the ground either. We're seeing it in the skies. The number of airports in India has shot up from just 74 back in 2014 to 164 today. That's more than double, opening up air travel and connecting parts of the country that were once really hard to reach.
Okay, what about moving goods? This might seem technical, but it is so crucial for the economy. The average time a container ship spends at a major Indian port has dropped from over 43 hours to just 30. That is a massive gain in efficiency that makes the entire supply chain faster and more competitive.
And this isn't just a domestic improvement, this is getting noticed globally. According to the World Bank, 2 Indian ports are now in the global top 30 for performance, with 7 in the top 100. That is a clear signal of rising competitiveness on the world stage.
But you know, modern infrastructure isn't just about concrete and steel anymore. It's also about bytes and grids. So let's shift gears and see how India is simultaneously building the next generation of infrastructure to power a digital future.
And here we see that same familiar story, right? A clear connection between investment and results. On the right, a huge addition in power generation capacity. And on the left, the impact it has on everyday life, a big improvement in the daily hours of reliable power, especially in rural areas. But the real game changer could be this, the India energy stack.
Now, stick with me here. This is a new kind of digital public infrastructure. The best way to think about it is like an open-source operating system for the entire power grid. It's a foundational layer designed to let anyone build new apps and services on top, completely reshaping the energy sector.
So what does that actually mean for an average person? Well, it means more choice in who provides your energy. It means you can not only buy power, but you could actually sell it back to the grid. It creates a real way to make money off of your rooftop solar panels, turning what used to be passive consumers into active participants in the energy market.
And all of this is happening alongside an absolutely massive digital revolution. Overall telecom access has hit nearly 87% of the population, a staggering number. And what's really crucial here is that growth in rural areas is now actually outpacing urban centers, helping to close that digital divide and connect every corner of the country.
So where is all of this heading? Let's bring it all together in our final section, Building India's Tomorrow, and the grand vision that's behind this whole national effort.
This is so important. These individual projects, the roads, the ports, the digital networks, they are not happening in isolation. They are all cornerstones of India's long-term vision to become a developed nation by the year 2047, a vision known as Viksit Bharat.
And that brings us to the final, critical question. The vision is ambitious, the investment is historic, and the plans are in place. But as India builds for the future, can it overcome the immense execution challenges that come with a transformation on this massive scale? That's the real story to watch.